Let's take a look at this week's ads in fantasy baseball coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, baseball fans. Welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds, where I'm going to count down the top 10 ads for fantasy baseball here this week. If you're a fan of this type of content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so that way you'll be notified whenever we drop another episode here on the channel. Before we get started, we've got a few shout-outs to do here. First was from Razor Ramon saying we should be picking up Chris Bubich, Edward Julien, Spencer Steer. Now, Bubich just went on the IL. Edward Julien struggled after his debut, where he had his first 2 hits in the first inning. Spencer Steer has got a possible knee injury at the moment here, but if he is healthy, he would be a very good pickup, batting in, of course, the sandbox that is the Cincinnati Reds. So I would keep my eye out for Spencer Steer here this week to see if he makes improvement on that knee. Uncle Ted chimed in and said we should be picking up Bryce Elder, Geraldo Perdomo, and Miles Straw. Now, Perdomo, he's a solid shortstop there, but I don't know if I would count on him right now in my fantasy squad. I need to see more plate appearances before I commit to a player like that. Miles Straw is basically a John Birdie prototype, just, of course, plays less positions. Bryce Elder, though, got him in a few of my leagues here. Certainly the player out of that 3 that I would feel very comfortable putting on my teams, at least until he either falters or gets sent back down. I had a couple people ask about Logan O'Hoppe. He's a great catching prospect. He had an 850 OPS in 1,000 plate appearances in the minors. I'd look at him in 2 catcher leagues, or if I'm currently holding on to a low-tier catcher I can afford to drop, but otherwise I kind of leave him on the waivers, unless, of course, he continues his hot streak here and proves me wrong over the course of the next couple of weeks. Let's start the list off here with Brandon Marsh. 39% owned here, 6 runs, 1 homer, 6 runs batted in, 417 average here last week. Currently batting 1196 for OPS here for the season. In the 5th spot there in the Philadelphia lineup. He's certainly capable of hitting 2015, getting 20 homers, 15 steals for the season. He's sitting left versus lefties at the moment, but that could certainly change if he continues to mash. I would be concerned a little bit once Bryce Harper returns to the lineup that you'll likely see Brandon Marsh dropping a little bit in that lineup, but otherwise he's a pretty safe bet to be able to get you some good production throughout the year. Next up, we're going to go to Arizona, Josh Rojas. 54% owned, 3 runs, 2 runs batted in last week, 286 average. Currently has an 867 OPS here for the season. Still looking for his first homer, but he should be good for 10 to 15 homers for the course of the year. And of course, he's hitting at the top of that Arizona lineup. Stole 23 bags here last year, so we can kind of expect similar results, maybe a little higher from here this year. And he carries 2 positions, which will certainly help out with lineup flexibility. Coming up next, we are going to go to Colorado. Elias Diaz, 40% owned here. 3 runs, a homer, 3 runs batted in, 471 average here. He is currently batting 6th in the Colorado lineup, and he has a 998 OPS so far for the year. Now, don't expect those type of numbers, of course, throughout the season here, but he did hit 246 with 774 OPS and 18 homers in 338 at-bats in 2021. So I could see those as being a solid estimate of where he'd end up here this year. Maybe a little higher in the average. We'll see if he can keep up his success here throughout the season. But he also strikes out. He's a little strikeout prone there for a batter, so you may we'll have to kind of see. We'll have to kind of see on him. He's certainly worth a speculative pickup though for most leagues in fantasy here this year. Up next, we are going to go to Miami. John Birdie, 51% owned here, 4 runs, 1 homer, 4 runs batted in, 3 stolen bases, 286 average. Batting 9th in Miami. Not going to get a whole lot of at-bats on that team here, and you kind of know what you're getting with Birdie. He did swipe 41 bags in 358 plate appearances here last year. But again, he kind of strikes out a little bit too much for somebody with very little power. The upside, of course, to Birdie is that he plays most positions on the diamond, so he's a great plug-in if you need to be able to fill a spot on the go for your team. Going to Oakland, Brent Rooker, 20% owned, 5 runs, 4 homers, 11 runs batted in, 417 average here last week, batting 3rd in the Oakland lineup here, 1122 OPS for the season so far. He's been a part-time bat since he's entered the league in 2020, but he's currently on a hitting spree right now, and he's hitting in a prime spot in the Oakland lineup. He averaged a homer in 15 at-bats with a 909 OPS in the minors, so there's definitely a power profile there. Certainly worth a look if you're struggling with power in your league. Up next, we're headed to the Angels here. Jose Quijada, 39% owned. He pitched 2 innings with a save and a strikeout here. No runs, no hits. Could be possibly the best reliever in Angel Land here this year. Value shines for sure in leagues that count holds, but he's yet to give up a run in 5 innings pitched here this year, and he's likely going to get a handful of saves there as well. So if you're lacking in saves, or if you just want somebody that might be able to get you some good ratios, I would strongly consider picking up Jose Quijada for your team. At number 4, we're going to go to Boston. Garrett Whitlock, 12 innings pitched here last week, 1 win, 10 strikeouts, 4.50 ERA, 108 WHIP. He had a 102 WHIP in 78 innings pitched here last year. Had a very effective slider in his last outing. Helped him get a win against the Angels here. He only had a run in 7 innings pitched. And my rule of thumb is if you see a pitcher that throws 7 innings against a good offense, you need to take notice, see where he's at there. So Garrett Whitlock is on my radar. I picked him up in a couple more leagues here. You probably should too. We're going to Tampa Bay next here at number 3, Taj Bradley. 28% owned here last week, was 5 innings pitched, 1 win, 8 strikeouts, 5.40 ERA, 120 WHIP. Uncle Ted and I kind of agree on this one here. He mentioned to pick up Taj Bradley right away. I strongly agree with that there. A little bit of a stash play right now because he did get sent back to the minors, but I think that's going to be very short-lived. Jeffrey Springs is likely going to be down for the next 2 months or more, which means that's likely going to pave the way for Taj Bradley to be able to stick in the rotation here for quite some time. If you needed any more convincing, he threw 52 of 78 pitches for strikes in his debut. That's a really, really good mark, and I think he's primed for success here in the big leagues. Up next, we have Brett Beatty coming in at number 2. AAA stats here, 9 runs, 5 homers, 15 runs batted in, and 2 stolen bases. Batting 435 plate appearances. He's the hottest minor leaguer, not named Fernando Tatis right now. 943 OPS last year. He's at 1386, of course, this year. And it's likely he can find a permanent spot on this roster if he continues to mash out of the gate. Could possibly as well be a top 10 third baseman the rest of the season. If you can get him, jump on it right away. He is not going to be available for long. And then last but not least, here at number 1, we have J.D. Davis, 37% owned. 2 runs, 2 homers, 7 runs batted in, 333 average last week here. He's got a career resurgence after the trade to San Francisco. He's 1050 OPS here for the year so far, and he's batting cleanup in this lineup. At 37% owned, he should not be sitting on a waiver wire. That premium spot in the lineup here, he's got a chance to drive in a whole bunch of runs. He could hit 30 home runs this season as well if he can stay healthy. And that's going to do it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this, please do leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so already. We are going to sign off for now, but we will catch you guys on our next episode.